Approaching a little sister is a criminal offense. Do not approach the little sisters.
How are we going? This is the Wade Weekly number 6. It's the 1st of March 2017. How are you? Great to have you back. Thank you very much for tuning in for the 6th time this year in 2017. The track you're just listening to was called The Little Sisters. It's a track from a rare release album to promote the BioShock video game back in 2007. Just let that truck go by. That was back in 2007. It was called the BioShock EP. Now that track was actually by Moby and Oscar the Punk. Not super popular in the kind of BioShock community, but I like two of the tracks. The Little Sisters, the track you just heard, is one of my favorite tracks. It's it's very oral and kind of chilled out, and I really like the use of that violin track, which I've just learnt was a track called Wild Ride. I think that's a traditional. Is that a jazz traditional, Wild Ride? Anyway, I thought it was covered by Stefan Grappelli and Jagger Reinhardt. But anyway, that particular version of Wild Ride was by Paul Patterson and Brian Lovely, who are from a group called the Faux Frenchmen, I think. So there's a bit of info on a weird track used to promote the BioShock video game back in 2007. Man, if you have not played the BioShock games, they are fantastic. And I would argue BioShock 2, narrative-wise, is better than the first game. Believe it or not, yeah, I've said it. There you go. BioShock 2 is a better story than the first game. The week, it's been a great week. Look, the first thing you should really be doing is stop listening to this podcast and go listen to the amazing podcast I did over the weekend with my friend Chris Fatty Donnelly. Chris is a lighting designer in the theater space, in the performing arts space, so dance and theater. And he's a very, very clever guy. He's a very, very switched on guy. He's an old friend of mine from that one time I directed that one play and totally didn't have a meltdown. It was very, very tricky, and I'll talk about it at length one day. But he's a lovely guy. He's an extremely talented and hardworking guy, and we talk about arts funding here in Australia, primarily Western Australia for all our American friends. And it's a great discussion. It's a robust discussion. I hit him with some curveballs. We talk about the Astonishing X-Men. We talk about video games. We talk about the state of the world. But we mainly talk about the arts. So we mainly talk about what's happening in the art space here in Australia. So go check it out. It's on my official page, or you could on my official YouTube page. You can just literally search Wade K Savage, and it's a podcast with Chris Fatty Donnelly. Goes for about an hour. Sounds pretty crap because I'm not set up for it. But the content and discussion is number one. Really great. So check it out. So I'm like super behind, and I think I already mentioned this, but I've been watching Fargo. Really, really excellent stuff. I'm nearly at the end of it. And how good is Martin Freeman? Like I know he's good. He's very good, and I've seen a little bit of the BBC Sherlock series, but he's really good. He's really, really great, and I love seeing him play something close to a villain. His energy is really, really excellent. Oh, I think it's starting to rain here. I'm all over the shop. Yes, I think it's starting to rain right during the podcast. That's fine. It's been super stormy tonight. Lots of thunder. It's very, very warm here in Perth, Western Australia. This is probably going to sound a bit crap, but okay, I'll let it rain. Freeman, yeah, fantastic. Really, really, really enjoying his work as that kind of protagonist. And if you haven't watched the first season of Fargo, you should get into it because it's really, really solid. Some great writing. Billy Bob Thornton is especially good, and the young woman, I should know her name, who plays the lead, Solverson, deputy character. I'm terrible with new performers. I should know her name. She's very, very good too. And just the script and pace, pitch, and tone is really, really something splendid. So get around it, get after it. It's really, really nice. I've been writing this week. I do a lot of writing. I'm doing a lot of biz development stuff for my company Encryption. Of course, I'm writing the Birdman Walks because we announced that last week. The response has been crazy. I had a really great video by my friend Lone Vault Wanderer, and he is a YouTuber I've known for a few years through Fallout Lanius, and we had a kind of quick exchange over Twitter DMs, discussing ideas I've got for the film and what I want to achieve with it. So he did a short video that's already like 2,500 views. Our little announcement video is like 3,000 views, and this is really cute YouTube stuff. I know it's not crazy huge, but we've got 1.5 million views on a YouTube channel that's got like 3 videos on it or something. So I think that's a nice response from the community, and people want to see the film, and I'm happy about that. But now I'm just kind of writing. I did a blog post over at www.wadeksavage.wordpress.com, so there's a little plug, talking a little bit more about my process, the fact that I want to get another draft done by the end of March, so that's this month, today being the 1st of March 2017, and I'm just looking to really nail the stuff. I'm kind of editing out dialogue at the moment. I'm cutting a lot of dialogue. I want it to be really lean and mean. I don't want it to be underwritten, but I just want it to, be very different to that overly stylized kind of dialogue we had in Fallout Lanius, and far more human, and far more of a drama. So getting those dynamics between characters right is pretty important. And I've been spending a lot of time at the start of the film, because as we're setting up the Followers of the Apocalypse, and when they meet Joshua Graham for the first time, and Edward Sallow's characterization. And one of the first problems I'm kind of running into with Edward is that we kind of need him to be like a tiny bit petty and kind of a bit of a not a beta character, but we know he's a narcissist, and we know he's pretty self-involved and embittered, because he's extremely clever, extremely well-read, and he's extremely ambitious, and he's basically relegated as basically kind of a bookworm in this day at this point in the story early on. And so I'm having some little challenges trying to make him an effective, brutal, kind of scary character very early on, because the film is really about Joshua Graham, but that's actually not true. It's still really about Joshua and Edward. So you kind of need the right 2 protagonists, I'm finding. And so as I'm working back through the script, I'm trying to strengthen up Edward Sallow, who is a fascinating character, beautifully portrayed and written in the game. So that's one of those challenges of having a dual sense of a protagonist in a work. So that's what I've been doing on the Burn Man. I played another Ubisoft beta. It was Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is one of the branded Tom Clancy stories. I kind of like the idea of an open world stealthy crime game or cop game or military game, busting cartels and killing baddies and all that kind of stuff. But the same kind of feeling I had with For Honor. It just doesn't have that kind of depth and that kind of texture to it that I've had with other games. And in open world games, it just felt very much like a lot of assets are recycled. And again, Ubisoft's a humongous company who produces a lot of content, and they're trying to get better, I think, by producing games that feel more handcrafted, could we say? But to me, it looked really great at times. There's some cool ideas there. I didn't get a chance to play with buddies, which is where this whole game is at. Our schedules didn't align, so it just didn't happen in the end. So that probably would have been more fun. But look, just that moment-to-moment gameplay, it just wasn't doing it for me. I'd rather play GTA. I'd rather play Witcher 3, even though I like the idea of kind of killing cartel guys and running around Bolivia, I think it is. especially after Narcos, which I finished last year, the second season of Narcos. That was really, really great. So, yeah, it felt far too much like the Far Cry games, and I really didn't like Far Cry 4 with the kind of constant chatter you have from characters and the constant crazy radio DJs who all feel really half-assed, and they don't have either any sense of humor or any sense of compulsion for me to care. I just don't care if Ubisoft games. And I'm really not trying to be biased because I'm really, really open-minded when I try something, especially if I spend 30 gig downloading it or whatever. But no, Wildlands, not for me. Just the same with For Honor. There just isn't enough value for me as a gamer where, my preferred games are around narrative, and I really want to feel like I'm playing something super high quality if I'm going to give you $100. Or now, as is the 27 mantra, I'm going to give you my time. My time is worth more than money now. So if I'm going to sit down and play something, it better be freaking great, because you're taking my time I could be sitting doing this podcast, or writing on the number of feature films I'm developing, or having a Skype meeting, or blogging, or any number of things, producing a video for my YouTube channels. Like, your game better be just so great. It kind of compels me to take that time out and spend on it, So it's worth more than money in that regard. So, and you should feel the same as well. Your time is really, really precious. And I think I said in a few podcasts a while ago, schedule your downtime so it's more fun. And try to, if you can, and I don't mean highfalutin stuff, but consume content is really good, because you can watch a lot of crap, play crappy games, have crappy experiences, and you're kind of doing it to kill time. And if you've got that little voice in the back of your head saying, "Jesus, isn't very good," how long have you watched a movie and just gone, "Oh, this sucks," or a TV show or a video game and kind of going, "This is not very good"? There's this little voice in your head saying, "Well, stop, just stop." As a filmmaker and a creator, I used to kind of push through films if a film wasn't good, because the cinephile in me would be saying, finish the experience. So, you can learn a lot from a lot of bad films, and I believe in that, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time for your bad film. I don't have the time for your bad game. Your film or your game or your TV show I don't like. It's not for me to say if it's bad in a black and white sense, but for me, if it's not working, then you don't deserve my time. And I think you should feel the same way. Your time is very precious, and that time that you spent playing that crappy game, or reading that crappy book, or watching that TV show, you could spend with friends and family, or working on your projects, or hustling, or grinding, or doing whatever you need to do to make your dreams happen, or make that business happen, or whatever. Just spend the time wisely, and that will require discipline, and that will require you pushing and doing the thing you don't want to do right about now, because being persistent and being consistent are key in the game. So that's my thoughts on that. I think that's kind of what I'm going to say this week. I've got a little note here to talk about gratitude, but I think consistency and persistence are probably more important. I think I'll talk about gratitude next week, because that should have more time with it, and I've prattled on a bit as it is. Look, thanks so much for tuning in. This is probably a little bit of a short one. I hope it's not too short, but here's a little bit more of that kooky track from Moby and Oscar the Punk. And I'm hoping to do more stuff with Perth creatives. I know lots of really great people in all kinds of spaces, whether they're in the theatre and film space, or visual arts, or music. And I want to have them on the podcast. I need to work on my setup. My setup is very, very basic, so we can do proper two people podcasting. But look, I hope you've had a great week. Feedback, insights, and thoughts, hit me up basically anywhere, at Wade K Savage. And it's been great chatting with you, so to speak. Enjoy the rest of your week.